your business, where you're from, at least where you're writing to us from, where your business company is located, and what line of business you're in. So if you could share that in the chat, we'll be happy to have that. If you're joining us now, welcome. We are in a grace period of 5 minutes. So we will begin around 7:05. In the meantime, if you can kindly share where you're calling us in from, your line of business, company name, of course. Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. For those who are coming in, we're given a grace period of 5 minutes. In the meantime, please go to the chat and share with us where you're calling in from, your line of business, your company name. We will give a grace period, 5 minutes, to which we will begin by 7:05. Hello, Joram. Thank you. You're calling us from Kampala. Wonderful. Amazing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We still have another 2 minutes. Hi, Desmond. How are you? From Kenya, UK, Kenya. Great to have you here with us.
Hi, how are you? Hi, Toby, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great.
Okay. So just another minute, and then we'll begin. I will share host. Ruby, I'll be sharing host with you. So you can help me get people in. Yeah, no, it's just me allowed to do that. Hi. Welcome, Ori. Welcome, Tosin. Hi, Yoram. Glad to have you back. You're joining us now. We're happy to have you here. If you can just write in the chat where you are calling in from, line of business, company name, of course. Good opportunity for us to get to know more people, widen our network. Very diverse group. I can see that we have partners from Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, UK. So very diverse. Wonderful to have you. I see it is 7:05. Wonderful. So we are over with our grace period. Of course, anyone who'll be joining, of course, after this. We'll be happy to have them. And if we can just write in the group chat, Ruby, a prompt for anyone joining to share the information that would make it easier for us to get to know who's here. So welcome, good evening, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're calling in. My name is Toby Love. I'm the CEO of ShareLove International. Today I'm hosting my very third webinar for ShareLove International for 2024. This is a very exciting webinar because it is sort of a summary of this year, but not necessarily the end. Quite the contrary, it is actually an opportunity to take a glimpse into the various opportunities that can be had in 2025. We have a very interesting webinar for you today, and we're hoping that you're definitely going to have an enlightening session. We are aiming for you to get practical tools, the best tools that will put you within the very first steps, if you haven't taken them already, into expanding your business into Africa. Now, for many of us here, perhaps potentially we already have businesses that are running in collaboration with Africa. Perhaps we are hesitating, perhaps we are considering. This webinar is neutral in the sense that it speaks to everyone wherever their journey is. There's an interesting saying that says, you don't know what you don't know. So this is the line that I'd like us to start with. Joining us today is my very good friend, who I've known for a long time now, Mr. Chika Chime, and he will be speaking to us about a very, very painful pain point, to which, the organization that he represents has come up with a fantastic, phenomenal, and working solution, and has everything to do with the financial services provision. He is representing the United Bank of Africa, UBA, and will be part of this presentation. I'm very happy to share that, we've been in talks for a while now, and his schedule has allowed it. And so we felt this is exactly what our audience, what you need to come and hear practical tools about everything that has to do with expanding your business into Africa, where many fail and where you can win big. So if we can just commence. I see that you're going on in the chat. That's wonderful. I'll continue to begin the presentation. So we'll wait for this to load. If you are seeing this presentation, if someone can just give me a thumbs up. I know that sometimes network can be slow. I want to make sure that everyone is on the same presentation with me. Ruby, if you're seeing this presentation, and have a thumbs up, and then we can begin. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. All right. So the order for today is, like I said, packed with really practical tools. To begin off our presentation, our webinar, we will speak very briefly about why Africa. I mean, I don't need to go into that too long, because you're a very friendly crowd who already knows and is exposed to potential across Africa. But still, some numbers which may definitely make you think further about where you prioritize the African market within your business, running or future. We will then go to discuss about the various types of categories and why it is important to categorize the African markets based on what we've written here. We're going to touch a bit on current thriving sectors that we, as an organization, have pronounced. And we're going to go immediately into the reasons why companies fail. There are a lot of them. And in order for this webinar to be extremely practical, we had to narrow it down. That is not to say that everything that we've said here are the only reasons. No, this is for us, the reasons that are at the highest level of why companies, businesses, individuals sometimes approach a market so diverse as the African market, but still not only do they fail, which is an extreme result, but maybe they're not able to get to their highest potential. Okay, maybe they're just getting by. And we want to reveal to you some of those pain points. Maybe you recognize some of them, maybe you're guilty of some of them, knowingly, unknowingly. And then we'll provide you with our tips as to how you can go about this. Then we will have Mr. Chika. Chika may speak to us about the financial provision services, which of course is embedded into one of the reasons why companies fail, and you understand in a bit. We will then go ahead to speaking about tips for building partnerships, because at the core, at the foundation of everything that has to do with expanding your business into Africa, you are completely reliant on the type of partnerships that you form. And how do those partnerships look like? What form do they come in? Do they come in the form of joint ventures? Do they come in the form of distribution? Do they come in the form of franchising? We'll touch a bit about everything, and we'll try to help you to understand what method, what type of partnership is best fitted for you. And then we'll share with you a little bit about us and what we are and who we are within this space of expansion of markets into Africa, okay? Of course, in between, you're welcome to share your questions. We'll have some prompts here and there. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A session to which we'll be happy to share, to receive your questions, okay? And then we'll summarize and we'll part ways until next. So, Africa. This is the third time that we are going through this webinar. And I think that in all three webinars, I've had people come up to me afterwards and say, hey, we didn't realize that there is so much space, because the photos, the images that we have of Africa is one that is not thriving. It is one that is developing. It is one that is behind. It is one that has vast of everything: land, resources, human capital, culture, wealth. And to my happiness and to my joy, when we present Africa through the lens of a very fast developing market, it encourages people to see a different aspect of Africa that they may have not experienced up until now. And it comes to reflection when you share that when you share things such as some of the fastest growing economies, okay? We all understand how volatile economies are in the year 2024. But if I tell you that some of the fastest growing economies are present on the continent of Africa, for example, Nigeria and Kenya. Nigeria recently boasted of a GDP of $360 billion, okay? And Kenya was just a third of that, of $107 billion. But these are some of the fastest growing economies till date. And they have been growing this way incrementally for the last 5 to 10 years, okay? Now, like I said, the economies across the world are so volatile. But if you're able to look consistently and say, hey, here's an economy, or here are a few economies that, despite the volatility of the global economic system, they are still on an upward spiral, it is very much a good reason for you to take a second look and say, hey, how are we going to be part of those untapped markets? And untapped they are, because much of the causes that these countries are underdeveloped. But I want to submit something to you. Here's a lens that you can look at Africa. There is opportunity, there is potential, to some degree there is action. Where people win big is when they're able to connect the opportunity to the action to the potential. And that is done by formulating partnerships. When we speak of categories of the African market, I really love to start with this. When I speak with my clients, they say, but Toby, Africa is so big. You don't expect us to go into every single to the whole entire African market. When you say Africa, do you mean that we should be present everywhere in Africa? And the answer, my friends, is no. Because Africa, yes, is a huge continent, but within this continent, you have sub-regions, which are grouped into, as you can see in the photo, to the regions, to the northern, the western, the central, the southern, and the eastern. And in fact, when you start working with Africa and you start familiarizing yourself with the business culture and the economical geographics of everything, you understand that many of these clusters are quite created to really support, okay, in my opinion, to support the business development of not only local businesses, but also international businesses that are looking to come into creating mutually beneficial partnerships, okay? And so one of the reasons I submit to you for failure is the lack of acquaintance of this very thing that I'm sharing right now, which is the categories of the African markets, okay? Because when you realize that you have to look at Africa, not just as one continent, but of course as 55 different countries, but also as 5 different regions, 5 to 6 different regions, depends on who you ask, you have to understand that you have to acquaint yourself to the markets because they differ in their climate, they differ in their culture, they differ in their history, even in their language, they differ in their ways of communication, they differ in the market demand, in the way that things are done, the culture of things, and the perception, okay, of the development on ground. But regardless, nonetheless, the underdevelopment touches into various sectors that are uniform regardless of what category you are. These are thriving markets, and we know this because we have started doing and formulating country outlooks. We no longer want to rely on what other organizations are coming to tell us about Africa. We are developing our own network, and we're speaking to our people on ground, and we're saying, hey, we want to create mutual beneficial partnerships. We have a large network of people who are interested in creating partnerships and doing business with Africa. Can you tell me what is the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sectors in your country that you see as being the most beneficial to the economy, to the private companies, private sector, and also to the public sector? And these are based on the research that we've done. These are the main thriving companies. So you can see the likes of energy. Energy, again, can be divided into so many different. So you have the solar, the solar, the hydrogen, the you have all different sectors of energy. You even have the biomass energy, which is apparently quite developing, in the western part of Africa. We're talking about technology and innovation. Okay, the Internet of Things. In fact, the technology, the Internet of Things is actually coming out as a forefront runner of the solutions, the potential solutions to many of Africa's growing problems, okay? Problems that up until now have not been successful in treating them, in providing solutions for them. But the technology of things has become a forefront runner in really providing these amazing solutions. We're talking about tourism. The percentage of people traveling has increased due to, the growing middle class, due to capital for companies, due to household income. And there's a need to go back to, the natural, go back to the nature. And these are places in which a lot of African countries are coming into play. You would know that there are about 33 countries that border the sea on the continent of Africa. That's 30 different types of current tourism experiences that you can have. And so definitely African countries are tapping into this. Of course, consumerism is on the rise, not just in the West, but of course in Africa. And e-commerce is growing. I think we have someone here, I think it will be Desmond, who has initiative in e-commerce in Kenya. And I'll be happy to hear from him afterwards, but this is definitely a sector that is on the rise. And e-commerce is a huge sector of its own that encompasses so many different things in it. Oh, and I didn't mention agriculture. Agriculture is a favorite of mine. Agriculture is a favorite of mine because of the amazing potential that we have here. Listen, by 2050, okay, we expected to have exponential growth in population around the world. Of course, that would affect Africa as well. And what is happening now, like I said, with the technology, with innovation, with the Internet of Things, is that you see a lot of merging, okay, of various sectors that are not necessarily associated with agriculture, but are now being associated with agriculture. If it has to do with smart tech, agri-tech, everything that has to do with that. So there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of things that are going on here. And you don't just need to be a farmer anymore to be involved in agriculture. You could be a software engineer, and you could be working within the agricultural space across Africa. Okay, and this is, of course, relevant to all the different regions and all 55 nations of Africa. So we spoke about the various frameworks for successfully entering into Africa. And I want to share a short story. It's not really a story, but it's an everyday phenomenon that I come across. I drive. I don't know if you drive. I'm sure that most people in this meeting drive. I love driving. I've been doing it for the past 14 years. But I've never gone as long as I've learned and known myself, I've never driven to an unknown destination. Okay, so if I know it, I'll go automatically, that's fine. But to an unknown destination without a map. That map could come in the form of Google Maps, Waze, etc. I do that because it is available. And if you have had to make a journey to an unknown destination, what would be your first mode of operation? I believe it would be very similar to mine, which is to take your phone, put out, the GPS system and put your destination and have that map take you there. Of course, if you're old-fashioned, you probably whip out a map, although I don't think they make many of those anymore. But let's say you're also old-fashioned and you want to do it the old way, and you take up a map and you really literally start creating your path. So why does the roadmap to Africa not have the same format? Well, I'm actually here to tell you that it does. And this is something that you can easily go into once you've made the right decision, okay? Once you made the right decision and you've formulated the right type of roadmap that would be relevant to you. It's not every single thing that you see here when we talk about entering into the African market that is relevant to you. One may be more relevant than the other. You might have two that are more relevant, but in the end, there are things that are available. They're available and they're just waiting for you to put the work and the time and the resources in order to go ahead with them. And what do those things look like? What do those frameworks, call them frameworks, expansion strategies into Africa look like? So they come in the form of direct investment to start with, which is quite self-explanatory. You find something that you feel would be a sector, a developing, a promising opportunity, and you get into those partnerships. Or you can go towards a joint venture. And by the way, this is one of the main frameworks that is most applauded, most accepted, and most encouraged. Yes, as much as there is vast opportunity for developing, for potential, for opportunities for business, there are still some factors that are scarce in the sense of technology, sense of know-how, in the sense of markets, that require those partnerships, okay, that require those joint ventures in order to really develop that sector in society, in the economy. Franchising, of course, is another avenue to consider. the likes of the African Development Bank can provide valuable insights and support expanding your business footprint. And I'd have you know that franchising has actually been on the rise more than any other continent across the world because of the ease at which one can, categorize, can enter into the African markets based on the categories, the African market categories that we spoke of, okay? Exporting. So exporting is not just selling your products, but also leveraging your existing value chain in order to support a global presence, okay? Exporting, though, to international markets outside of Africa actually remains very, very low. In fact, we're talking about less than 3%, okay, of the potential for exporting that can definitely go out. What else? What else? So when I go back to joint ventures, when you collaborate with like-minded businesses, and that's exactly what you're doing in joint ventures. You are collaborating with like-minded businesses. You can pull in the resources, you can share the expertise, and you can explore new opportunities together. And that's what I actually really like about joint ventures and partnerships. And in a bit towards the end of the webinar, you understand why exactly we put so much emphasis on partnerships as, in our opinion, the leading framework for successfully entering into the African market. But again, not every framework is relevant to your business. You would have to make the decision, the research to understand what framework is most important and most relevant to you. Okay, so we are at the core of the webinar. It's going on really well. On time, I can say. For top 5 reasons that we have formulated, again, they go way beyond the 5 reasons. In fact, when we came up with the list, it was so long, like, okay, no, we need to be straight to the point. We need to say, okay, these are the things that you need to put at the top of your priority if you are considering being successful and having a smooth entry and expansion into Africa. The first is very simple. Everything here actually is quite simple and quite straight to the point. But sometimes simple problems, very, very extensive solutions needed. Very, very, very complex solutions needed because of the nature of the way you go about it. So the first would be, like you see, lack of comprehensive market research. And why is that so important? I cannot emphasize to you how crucial it is that before you haven't even reached out to your contacts, okay? Even though you feel you may have all these contacts and all these people on ground, before you enter into this African market, you must have completed an extensive research, okay, about the market, about the pain points of the market, about the opportunities of the market, about the possible exits of the market, before you even approach creating whatever it is. And I submit to you that if you're able to really put emphasis and really execute a comprehensive market research, you would have overcome at least 35% of the mistakes. Okay, you would have overcome that problem when it is approaching an extensive market. Many companies fail when entering the African market because they do not start with this very crucial step. Next is not hiring right local talent. So there's a tendency, and actually I admit that I have even suffered from this before, many years ago, to perceive that you can perhaps do business or enter into a partnership based on a remote approach, meaning you're over there where you are and you can do it on ground remotely. My friends, yes, it is 2024, but you must have a local presence on ground, wherever it is that you plan to open shop, expand shop, in order to really get the processes in line. And this must be someone that you trust, someone that is credible, someone that you've had potentially done business with together. And the reason that is because, yes, actually the reason why that is has a lot to do with the culture aspect of it, okay? In the sense that, when doing business across Africa, and I'm sure that people can attain to that, yeah, we have a lot of people from all over Africa here. You want to look into the eyes of the person that you're doing the business with, okay? We're not doing business with computers as much as, in some places of the world, this is what is happening, okay? We used to, across Africa, we want to attain that person-to-person business structure. And it has to do a lot with hiring the right, okay? Not just hiring someone because, or going into partnership with a distributor because someone, recommended, or you have to really build relationship with whomever it is that you're planning to work with. This is I want you to approach everything that you do within the continent as a long-term strategy. And if you're going to a marriage, you want to have that connection, that relationship that you've built with the person. And of course, it has to be based on credentials and the ability to match the need and the job and the work and the business and everything, the value, the company values, okay? The third would be building very strong local relationships, which also leans onto what we said about the local talent. But here, we're not talking about someone who potentially works for you. No, we're talking a little bit outside of that. We're talking about every single person that has to do with your value chain, with your supply chain. And those relationships look and are in the form of physical relationships. You come, you greet them. If need be, you are invited to their events, invited to their homes, create relationship, and not suppose that, if you've written an email and signed a contract or done an agreement, and that's it. And I feel like this is one of the fall points for many companies, in the sense, or at least companies from the West, perhaps, in the sense that, everything is on paper, that's fine. No, it's quite different. Yes, you can have the agreements and everything can go well, but if you really want to create those relationships, then we suggest to put in, the effort to create those relationships, okay, within, the local setting of it. Number 4, we spoke about brand building. And this one is quite interesting because the first thing that you need to ask yourself, again, in your journey, before you enter, while you're there, is what does my brand, we all have brands, regardless of what sector you're in, but what does my brand mean for the African market? That is, even before you've entered into the African market, what does it mean? And if you're having a complex time with that, then you need to sit down and understand what that means, because what we want to do is position ourselves as solution givers, okay, solution providers. Yes, a lot of the issues that we see that pose opportunities actually stem from complex problems. So it has to do with the lack of infrastructure, the lack of basic necessities. I'm talking about it across Africa. So you need to truly, truly understand what your brand, what your company brand, what your company means for the African market that you're planning to enter into. And when you underestimate that, then along the line, it becomes quite problematic. It becomes sort of like a struggle, because you have your company values and your brand, and you have this new market that you're trying to enter to, and then it doesn't line, and cracks, starts showing up along the line for that. And number 5, to which we have our guest speaker, and I'm going to hand that over to him in a second, is when you have very inadequate, insufficient financial planning. Guys, ladies, going into a new market is not for the weak-hearted, okay? It's not for the light-hearted, not for the weak-hearted. Going into a diverse, huge, amazing, humongous, diverse market such as Africa even more. You must go into this with the right preliminary financial planning. Okay, and that has to do with everything, including the flights that you would need to go over and visit for the first 3 to 4 times before you settle an account. What it means to set up shop, if you need to set up shop. Human capital, human labor, expansion, exporting, you name it. And I feel, and I know, not that I feel, I know, because I've had many conversations with a lot of companies in the last year to 2 years, where I hear time and time again how there is simply insufficient financial planning. Now, the good news here, really just a second, Chika, I know I'm sure you're eager to come up. The good news here is the first 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 pain points, reasons are actually some of our best advantages when helping companies in supporting them into expanding their businesses into Africa. Okay, we are not yet a financial service provider, but we can gladly share that when it comes to comprehensive market research, helping you find the right local talent, working with organizations that know how to find the right local talent, building local relationships, strong relationship, building a great vast network all over Africa, and brand building, really taking a look at your organization and your company and really molding it to fit into the African market without changing, really taking the best parts out of your brand and maneuvering that into the African market. These are things that we do. These are things that we do daily. These are things that we do based on projects. These are things that we do fairly, very, very well. But until we become a financial service provider, we have going to speak with us now, he'll speak for himself, but one of the dominant financial service institutions in Africa, strongest, quite recognized, United Bank of Africa, who will share with us a little bit about what it means to set up a running financial plan when it comes to expanding your business into Africa. The things that you may have considered, maybe you didn't know, maybe you knew. I'll hand it over to Chika. I'll let him introduce himself until I load his presentation, and then we can carry on with me. So Chika, you have the floor. Can you introduce yourself in the meantime while I load your presentation? And if there are any
Thank you very much, Toby. I really, really appreciate wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
We've known each other for a very long time, and really proud of what you've done with your company. And when I got the invite to appear on the webinar, I was very excited. One of our president's goal, the elected president's goal, is to expand our investment opportunities and move into new market space. UBA is operating in 20 African countries. This is part of what we do. So I'm really glad to be here, and let's get started.
Okay, let's put that on. If you can see it. I don't know if Ruby, you can give me a thumbs up if you can see the presentation. Everyone is seeing that presentation. Great, amazing. So Chika, go ahead.
All right, so we'll be presenting the United Bank for Africa's Investor Conference presentation. Basically, talking about, you can move over to the outline, just give us a brief of what we're talking about. Talking about UBA, talking about the operating environment, sustainability, and governance, financial performance, payment business, as well as the outlook. Then take questions and clarifications. And so let's move over to about UBA. So you can see in this slide, UBA, currently in 2024, we are 75 years, been in business for 75 years. So as at this presentation, we're 73. The 2022. You can see how we evolved from we're a British French Bank Limited in 1949, and that has metamorphosed into United Bank for Africa in 2020, 2022, 2024. Moving on to the next slide. So, a brief introduction about United Bank for Africa. The Nigerian bank, sub-Saharan bank, headquartered in Lagos, Nigeria. We are present in 20 African countries. We have offices in the UK. We are in the US, New York. We are the only sub-Saharan African bank to have a full-fledged license in New York. As we go to the clearing house, and we are being regulated by the Reserve. And we also have a rep office in France. And due to our engagements and our consistent follow-up and meetings, hopefully very soon we'll have full banking license in France. We also opened recently an operation in UAE, particularly Dubai. We have a license and we're operating there as well. You can see from the map our location. And we have a solid capital base in excess of $223 billion as of December 2022. By now, we're doing currently, the figures are online on our website, ubagroup.com. Financials are online. You can look them up there. I think we're doing over $1 billion right now. Also our capital base. Moving on to the next slide. Let's move over to the footprint. That's the next one. Here you can see our staff strength, 20,000 plus staff across all our subsidiaries in US, UK, France. Customer base, 30 million plus. We have over 1,000 business offices across our subsidiaries. Our POS numbers, 303,000. Our cards, 3 million plus, in excess of 3 million ATMs, and the rest. Moving on. Here is just the numbers. So you can see from our assets, I mentioned that 2022 we had in excess of $23 billion. Our equity, $2.2 billion. Deposit base, 19.5 billion. Made a profit before tax of 2022 of $446 million. And our loan, we have a loan portfolio in excess of $7.5 billion. So moving on to the credit ratings. So we are recognized by the next slide. We're recognized by reputable, credit ratings, world credit ratings in the world, like Augustus, ECR, Fitch Ratings, S&P Global Ratings. You can see our ratings. Moving on to the next slide. So here we're talking about our governance and sustainability. You can see our approach to economic, social, and governance. We've listed our governance strategy, risk management, and metrics targets. Our governance strictly being handled by our board of directors. Then our risk management, we sometimes most times we focus on ECG capabilities through trainings to manage risk management in the bank. And you can see on the right-hand side, metrics, our numbers in SME supported over 20,000 SMEs in 2022 alone. After COVID in 2020, the numbers kind of dwindled because of the effects in 2021, but as of 2022, we have started and we're running fully. Agency banking numbers doubled year on year from 2021 to 2022, but we're currently at 200,000. Our female representation on the board is now 53%. UBA is focused on inclusivity and equality in the workplace. Our donation to CSR, you can see, is 1.3 billion naira as of 2022. The number fell short because due to the COVID pandemic, we had to increase our support in 2021. So there was a lot of support of the COVID era and after. So moving on to the next slide, you can see as a bank, we also have a foundation. On the next slide, you can see that we have a foundation, UBA Foundation with Touchline. So we've given out a total of 1.3 billion naira as donation during the year 2020. Part of our commitment, we develop the host communities, the environment, and the broader economies within which we operate. We're focused on education, empowerment, environment, and also for special projects. So on our financial performance, you can see that these figures are actually updated online. You can find the updated annual statements on our website. So we'll just move on to the next, which is the revenue profile. Also, you can find this on our website, the latest information, like I highlighted above as well. So we'll just move on to next slide. Self-sustained growth fee and transactional income, that the income we made from our businesses because of the year. So I've already highlighted our PBT, that the profit we made because of the figures. So you can get that on our website, the latest figures. So we'll just move over to the next slide.
Chika, if I can just stop you for a second, I want everyone to notice sort of like an intersect of something that I shared very earlier, in which you have, which I shared, based on the sectors that have a lot of opportunity for growth. So even in the banking system, which is reflecting so well in this slide, I don't know if you can notice what I'm talking about. When we said about the Internet of Things and technology and innovation, in the contributions to fees and commission income, we can see that 37% is actually attaining to electric banking. Okay, so this is yet again another example of how technology, and you can see it here in 2022, 2023, if I move this aside, it's actually the highest points for growth, even within the banking system, which you have this intersection of technology. And this is something that we are seeing a lot of in a lot of sectors, in which technology now is at the forefront, the forerunner of creating and providing solutions to previous complex problems. So yeah, I'm happy to see this slide because it really speaks to everything that I said earlier. But thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much for that, for pointing that out. Financial inclusion, as we know, it has come to stay. It has done great wonders, and it's increasing. It's actually doing a lot of increments, enhancements in various sectors. Basically just doubling your numbers, moving from the old traditional ways to the new ways, which is more efficient, more productive. You can see from the internet banking income, the electronic banking income, which includes AI, includes API, mobile banking, includes whole lot of gamut in that sector. So that's enabled most times. You can even see virtual banks that are coming up now. You don't even have to have the four walls of a bank to actually carry out a transaction. So it has done a lot of wonders in a lot of sectors, electronic financial inclusion, digital financial inclusion, I must say. So thank you for pointing that out. So next slide is key indices trending in the right direction. PBT, net interest margin, cost of funds, return on average equity, return on average assets. So this you can see the growth on the return on equity from 2021, 2022 jumped to 19.7%. It shows that we are giving our shareholders in the value of their funds invested. and also the return on our assets. The assets are being utilized properly, and then you can see the increase from 2021 to 20. The bank is consistently focused on growth, incremental growth every single year. So moving on to the next slide, you can see our robust balance sheet, total assets. You can see our customer deposits. You can see what I was talking about. The bank is focused on incremental growth. Incremental growth. The net cost of consumer loans, you can see that we jumped from 2.7 to 3.1. Bank is also focused on financing, focused on improving the SME, improving the micro scale, small, medium enterprises as well. Those are those sectors that drive the economy. Bank focused in line with economical and global changes. So we'll move on to the next slide to look at the resilient and diversified loan portfolio, which I just highlighted above. So you can see the various sectors in which the bank has financing. You can see it's all across all sectors, majorly coming from the general sector. But you can see the manufacturing sector has a 14%, the finance and insurance sector has a 14% share in the loan book. Oil and gas is the highest, I'm seeing is 15% due to the fact that Nigeria is crude. We produce crude, so we are part of the OPEC. So the dollar of financing in that sector.
I
Oh,
really like this slide. I'm
Yeah.
really liking this slide. You know why?
Why?
Because there's this tendency, this perception that
Yeah.
most African countries rely, I don't know if it's a perception, perhaps it's the truth, but rely very heavily on their oil and gas sectors, right? For the economy, for the sustainability, for the growth and everything. But what you're saying, based on the numbers that you have here, is it's an entirely different picture, in the sense that you see many African countries, many players within the various African countries. Again, you're representing information from 20 African countries, right?
Yes.
So to some degree, we have an understanding what's happening. You're saying that actually, Africa is actually moving very steadily and very quickly into developing its manufacturing, okay, which is so crucial, because when you're able to take that ability to manufacture, okay, not just export, your raw materials for manufacturing outside of Africa, you retain a lot of the opportunities. And to see that it's almost on the same level of the loans taken out for oil and gas, taken for manufacturing, that is very encouraging. And then alongside, if you can see up there, the finance and insurance aspect. So these are, not necessarily sectors that one would immediately attain to, development and areas of development, but it's very exciting to see that there is sort of like a balance. There's sort of like almost the same approach and understanding that in order for your economy to be strong, you have to diversify. And that is coming, I can see that is reflecting, but it's also very interesting because, like I said, there's so much opportunity for so many things, so many potential things and sectors. So yeah, I'm going to try not to interrupt you too much, but I really...
That's good. That's good. You said it, you hit the nail on the head. Bank is prudent. Is prudent on the writing standards and proactive credit monitoring underpins the lending business. Because we are heavily regulated across all subsidiaries by the central bank. The country, the continent is thinking ahead. Can't be reliant on a certain sector anymore. And the banks, the financial institutions especially, are also moving in line with that. So we have to diversify our portfolio and not, be focused on just one. That will create a concentration risk, and that's detrimental. So moving on to our business. Next slide. So this is our business across Africa ex Nigeria remains a strong growth pool. just highlighting our growth according population according to the GDP and according to the growth rate across all our subsidiaries. You can see the present in growing economies with prospects for improved group performance. So we are dedicated to improving the group performance, across all our subsidiaries. So you can see there's a cumulative GDP of countries bigger than Nigeria by 1.4x. So this is a slide that just highlights the economic growth and our focus in doing so. So we'll now move into the finance, our payment business solutions. We have key payment business and digital product offerings here on this slide. Leo is our AI generated chatbot. You can do all your financial transactions with him via messaging apps such as chat, Apple Business Chat, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Google. So you can just it's an um, AI driven technology where you just chat with him and do your financial transaction. It's about 5 years now at that. Then we also have our UBA mobile app, provides basically control support and flexibility of risk banking and lifestyle features that lets customers do their transactions easily from their mobile phones. Then we have the internet banking, digital banking experience where you can use on your phone and on the web. Then we also have the UB internet banking where you also can do the same as you do on the mobile phone, but rather on the web. So that is mostly for large corporates that do large volumes. They are on that platform. Individuals that want to use the web also can use that platform or the experience platform. Then we have our cards. We have debit, credit, and prepaid cards. Then we have the code that 919 uses USSD technology to do financial transactions, send money, receive, check your balances, funds, and pay bills, and so on and so forth. We also have our POS terminals and ATMs, as well as blockchain services for ATM. We are partnered with fintech players to drive use of blockchain service for ATM transaction processing in line with regulatory guidelines. And we also have our UBA marketplace where provides a low-cost channel for SMEs, companies in Nigeria to drive sales online, more or less like a online marketplace for SMEs. And then we have UBA cardless withdrawal services on the ATMs and also UBA API banking services. With this service, we have been able to extend banking services, leveraging advanced system interface to fintechs and lending organizations. So there's a lot of API integration going on right now in the world, and we are actively participating in that, I would say. And then you also have that UBA contactless payments as well. So moving on to the digital channel performance. So you can see how our digital channel performed during the year under review. You can see the subscription numbers, you can see the count, you can see the value generated in 2022 in comparison to 2021. You can see chat generated 102 billion naira as against 75 billion, and then you can see the subscription, almost a million difference, 35% growth. You can see so it's all growth across all channels. Highest growth is coming from our cards it's coming from mobile banking, sorry. The highest count growth is coming from mobile banking where we did 251% growth from 2021 to 2020. Nigeria has a lot of Africa in general, has a lot of unbanked population. So it's easier for those unbanked individuals to actually access the digital banking with their mobile phones, because a lot of mobile phone and internet penetration in Africa in general. So mobile phones are the easy access for the bank community. So you can see that the numbers. Just move on to the next slide. Youthful and high long-term value customer base. So our customer demography by age, you can see our highest customer demography by age is between 31 and 60 years old, contributing to over 20.3 million customers. So we are a youthful bank. Yeah, so UBA payment business strategic goal for growth, over 30 million customers across geographies, contributing to the growth in revenue and improving profitability of this number. Over 10.3 million are below 30 years, while higher with high long-term value across Africa. We have established strategic partnerships to significantly boost our payment offerings. So you can see our digital banking income as well. The digital banking income also grew year on year. So that just highlights our strategic pull for growth. The bank is heavily invested in developing and growing the real economy across Africa and in our subsidiaries across the world as well. So the next slide have outlook and guidance. So 2023 full year guidance, basically what we've achieved and what we hope to do by 2023. However, we've done that. So this report is as of 2022. The financials, are as of 2022. So if you want to get our latest financials, I will share them with Toby after the presentation. However, if you want to get them, they're online on our website. So just move on to the next slide. Appendix 6, highlighting our financial summary. These are income statements. You can see for the group and for the bank. What we've made, net operating income, net interest income from our transactions. You can see from our accounts, deposit accounts, loan accounts, interest made year on year. Let's go. Then the net fee and commission income from transactions, from turnovers, from various corporations, has also grown. A lot of growth, people are actively investing and coming to Africa to invest. The market is very, you can see the profit before income tax also grew year on year. And profit for the year also grew after tax expense. Next slide, you can see our asset portfolio. You can see what in as of 2023 we're in the excess of 2.6 millions of naira, by the way. So 2.5 trillion naira as at 2022. Total assets, you can see there, 10.7. Sorry, in cash and bank balance. Total assets, so you can see it's 10.7 trillion, 10.8 trillion, sorry. So I think that's that. Thank you very much for listening. I'm available to take your questions for any further inquiries that you wanna ask, or any places that you were stuck on that you wanted to get more clarifications on. You're comfortable to make those clarifications. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chika. That was a really amazing presentation.
Thank you.
Truly amazing reflection of the amazing work that UBA is doing across Africa. If I can summarize that in a larger context and then pull it down to what it is that we're talking about when we're talking about how to really potentially succeed when expanding your business across Africa.
Yes.
There's a huge financial gap that is present when it comes to doing business with Africa, in Africa, between the regions, in the sense that the financial transactions may not be always as straightforward because of the complexities around all of this, okay? So sometimes, which has actually created a space for opportunity, right? For many players. There is a difficulty, a challenge in moving funds, okay, within Africa, across Africa, outside of Africa into Africa. And many times companies do not perhaps tend to oversee this. And what you've just done is to sort of like clear the fog and say, okay, we know the situation that is happening on ground across Africa. This is what we've been doing for the past 70-something years in order to sort of go against some of the challenges that we have. So we do it in the sense that we have multiple digital platforms. We are present in 20 countries. You know, it's not easy to transfer funds between countries. And I know that that's one of the considerations that companies have, even companies that are present within Africa, that are running and present, of spreading and expanding themselves further because of these issues that you have with the transaction and movement of money. The ease of the movement of money is very, very low. So it's very good to see the work that UBA doing, the credible partner that you can find in an amazing, dominant financial service.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for that. You did mention a few things, but I will keep my questions to myself because I can always call you and get answers to some of the things that you spoke here.
Yes.
But I'll be happy to open the floor if there is any questions here. And I know that perhaps one thing that maybe we would have loved to
recording in progress,
perhaps have gotten a little bit more information about is, what does that first meeting or what does that first step look like? Even though, you know, you've given us an overall vision as to how it looks like, you know, working in collaboration and with UB as a partner. But what does that first step of trying to figure out your financial setup, okay, as a business look like when approaching an organization like UBA? Does it look like, you know, we set up an email, a meeting, and that's it? How does that look like? How can you encourage persons in this audience to say, okay, you know, everything that you've seen here, the whole aspect, the whole process, it may look complex, but it's actually quite doable. This is what we're able to do for you. Like, how does that first meeting look like? I mean, I know you do this a lot with your international investors. So I really just want people to understand how that looks like.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So first of all, I work in a specialized department that handles embassies, multilaterals, development organizations, as well as donor organizations and international donor organizations. So we understand that each business is peculiar, each business is different, and so we pride ourselves with our flexibility. I'm a relationship officer. I'm a relationship officer for about I've been with the bank for about 9 years plus. So we understand that there can be difficulties in each market, not just Nigeria. You know, we are in 20 African countries. Each subsidiary is being regulated by their own central bank, and we have to also work in line with this policy and with this government.
Hello? Oh, I think he must have been pushed out, maybe because of network. Chika? Okay, hopefully he'll join us back again. Let's stop sharing. If you have any questions, what I will do, hopefully when Chika is back, is request that he sends us his email, drop his email for us, and then you can take up conversation with him. Very open, very wonderful partner to have. And he can definitely get you the answers to your most pending questions, you know, hesitations, requests, things that you may know that you need clarified. Yeah, he is coming back to us. Hello? Yeah, I think he's having network problems. Okay, so if there are any questions, very happy for you to drop that for us. If not, well, you can also obviously drop that in the meantime. I'll just return to my slides. Wonderful partners, you're doing so well. We are almost done. So after we've heard that amazing presentation, I hope you agree with me that it was very amazing in the sense that I have this tendency to read in between the lines. And in that presentation, I saw a lot of opportunity. Okay, I saw a lot of opportunity. I saw opportunity for me as a business to scale up my operations. And I hope that you've seen that opportunity, those opportunities to scale your operations and potentially enter into partnerships on ground. So some of the tips that we wanted to share within this slide is geared to building long-term relationships. Okay, we are about the long term. And they usually have to do always fall within the realm of interpersonal relationship. Okay, and you can see most of it reflected in the sense that we advise for you to work with established, reputable local partners. We've shared that, how important it is to have people who are capable, willing, and able. We cannot emphasize enough the importance of culture. Africa is huge. Each country and its own diverse business etiquettes. Yes. When we talk about adapting the solution, technology, product, service to meet the local needs, and perhaps try to avoid, you know, saying this is an amazing product, does well in this market, why shouldn't it do well in Africa? I've come across many of those, and they are very surprised when it usually doesn't go well for them because of this inability to really take a step back and say, okay, I understand that my product is amazing, great. Perhaps for the African market, we need to make a few tweaks, changes, or visit the table once again. It is extremely crucial and vital that you leverage your network, okay? And I say this, you know, with a whole kilo of salt, in the sense that you and your business have a huge potential to thrive based on the type of networks that you build. And that networking, gentlemen, ladies, can start from now. And why do I say that? Because across Africa, in Africa, it is well known that if you want to truly develop your network, you must be actively, you must participate actively in what is happening on ground. Okay, so that might take the form of workshops, that might take the form, in many cases, the form of events, conferences. And what we've done, perhaps you've seen this, perhaps you haven't, but what we've done in order to really exacerbate, really push you into diversifying and developing your network so that you can thrive in anything and any venture that you have to do with Africa, is we've compiled a long list of all the events, major, all the major events happening in the first half of 2025 across many sectors all over Africa into one PDF. And you have within that PDF, of course, a summary of the event, but also a link to the registration. We've made your life very, very easy because we understand, and where we understand, where there's a solution, we want to share that with you. And I'll share a story with you about that. But before that story, while I'm sharing the story, if you want to have that PDF on your phone by tomorrow lunchtime, please write in the chat your email and we will get that over to you by tomorrow lunchtime, okay? So write in the chat your email in order to get the list of all the events to take place across Africa, major events to take place in various sectors in 2025, in the first half of 2025, okay? In the chat, please write your email. And the story that I wanted to share about solutions, listen, a while ago, I had to get my battery, I had a trip, okay? And my watch stopped working, all the times for it to stop working just before the trip. And I had to get the battery changed. But I was well familiar with the fact that it takes time to change batteries, right? In your watches, okay? Especially if you have a premium watch, they might want to send it to a lab and then they change it and they bring it back. It could be a long hassle. But I was traveling that very evening and the watch decided to stop working the day before. But I decided to give it a try. Luckily for me, when I entered into the shop where I changed my battery, I chanced upon the owner. And I said, listen, my friend, I have a problem. I need this watch to be fixed. I want it to be working. The battery seems to be done. This gentleman looks into me and says, okay, I understand that you're in a hurry, but I want to tell you something, because he saw how hesitant I was. He said, I promise you, if I have a solution, then it is my duty to offer that solution to you. My friends, I'm here to tell you that Shelov International, have a solution towards your hesitation, perhaps towards your lack of familiarity of venturing into Africa. And actually, it is our duty, okay, to offer those solutions to you. And this is just one of them. This is one of the things that we've been working on. We have a lot of other things up our sleeve and up our business and what it is that we do, because we really want to see businesses.
Sorry, I had a network challenge.
Chika, you're back. Okay, just let me just summarize this point, and then we'll give.
Yes.
We'll be happy to have you
All right,
complete your sentence earlier. So,
thank you.
this is something that we really want you to have. So if I can't see the chats now, I hope you've sent your emails. We'll be very happy to share that with you. Lastly, one more thing that we will want to touch about here is the importance of mitigating risk with contracts and agreements, okay? Yes, once you've created relationship, I've had this issue in the past, and when you create relationships with potential partners, you have this tendency to say, okay, let's have an agreement, an oral agreement, we're done with it, everything is fine. And along the way, you might have issues. So in order to avoid that, and really in order to treat your business and to treat your partner with the respect for such a transaction, we will advise on creating clear contracts and agreements. Okay, Chika, back to you.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry about that. Had a challenge with my network, but I'm up now. So, as I was saying, to
Hello.
address your question, what is the first to us being in a special embassies, multilaterals, and donor organizations? So we understand the flexibility of each and every business. Everybody's needs are peculiar. So, and we understand that we work in a regulated sector in every subsidiary of our presence. Every
every of our subsidiary are regulated by their own central banks. So what are we doing about it? Which allows businesses and individuals within one of our subsidiaries in Africa to another subsidiary in Africa in local currencies. So we've seen that there's the access to FX is a problem. The access to countries are facing heavy inflation. The US dollar is the reserve currency of the world, and it's not being friendly at all. So you can see what's happening in the economy today, the advent of groups and interventions. You can see the advent of BRICS. It's all part of the solution to find a way around hedging and, using the burden on the FX. So that's why Africa, in conjunction with central banks, came up with that solution, PAPS, that allows you to transfer monies in local currency to countries within Africa for now. I know Kenya is live, Nigeria is live, I know Uganda. Uganda is also live, yes. Zambia, I think Zambia is live as well. So the African, the aim is to ensure that PAPS go live across all African across all countries in Africa. So that way we can, cut out the need on the reliance on dollar. So it just reduce the burden. So basically, we're also open to hearing from you. What are your particular needs? What we do for investors basically is LCs, export financing, receiving of your inflows, receiving of your foreign currency inflow, managing your corporate accounts, ensuring like the financial aspects is taking care of payments of bills, basically offering you with monthly statements to guide your audit or financing team, basic expensing and everything. So we are fully ready to support. And because we are not an asset financing, we're a debt financing organization. So at least you should have started a business with us, like you mentioned. Venturing into Africa it's not an easy fix. There are regulatory requirements, there are business registrations you need to do, there are regulatory bills you need to settle, before you can come on board. So we understand those particularities. And so if you're coming into Africa, you at least need to have some financial records with us for about 6 months before we start talking about financing. That's just the true picture. But an asset financing organization or angel investors would basically give you seed fund, basically, and but we are debt financing, so that's why we can't. You have to do some form of turnover with us before we can. You can get access to financing. Corporate financial advisory we also I'll offer. We are in the markets in 20 African countries. So we know what businesses require from the start to the finish, even though it's not financial. Like registration of your company. We know you need to get your company registered. We know you need to get some certain bills settled with the government organizations before you can now talk of opening the bank account with us. So we offer this, we stay in touch. We offer these services, this is advisory support services to ensure your books are in order before then opening the bank accounts to start reflecting turnover of your business while in Africa.
Amazing. That is really practical information thank you so much again, Chika. This has been really amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very useful information.
Thank you.
What I would appreciate is if you could
Yes.
drop your email in the chat.
Okay.
Information for persons here who would be interested in asking one or two more questions. Maybe there's some curiosity for the curiosity, and I'll be happy.
Okay.
We have
So I'm doing that right away.
yes, please, in the chat. Kindly drop your email address,
Okay.
and we'll be happy for you to stay on with us, but we'll understand if you have to leave. It was really a pleasure. Very, very true, proper, concise, precise information. Like you said, this is very complex, and it's good to see, at least from everything that you've presented, which is actually, true reflections of the work that you're doing in order to assist businesses, companies such as those in this group in their entry points into Africa. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I really
Okay, so we are
So drop my email in the
Yes.
chat.
in the chat.
I hope you
Yes.
can see it. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the last part of this, we want to talk to you about Shadow. We spoke about solutions, having a duty to give the solutions to your hesitations, lack of familiarity of venturing into the African market. What we've done is in the last 10 years, we have curated, built, developed, cultivated relationships across Africa. Okay. With the understanding that, similar to what I said in the beginning, and I do touch about a little bit on the aspect of cultivating and developing relationship in the second webinar. We're going to drop a link to that webinar, and I think it will be very good for you if you need some, to tighten your grip as to how to develop partnership across Africa, to visit that webinar. So Ruby is going to drop a link to that one in the chat. We suggest and we encourage you to touch about that. But nonetheless, we understand that in order to build those relationships, to build those successful ventures, much of it has to do with creating partnerships, okay? Being with the right people in the right places. And we do that through a few methods. One of the methods that we do is business facilitation, in which we offer access to our African partners, to international partners, to the latest, usually at this point is to our African partners. We offer the access, offer you, our partners, access to the latest and most innovative technology in various fields that will help you to grow your market, okay? We also foster cooperation, we assist with strategic planning to really ensure that you achieve your desired outcomes. The other way that we go about creating those partnerships is through our consultation, which may be on the base of project management, or could be on the base of really working side by side with you, with our partners, to get your business up and running. And if it's already running in Africa and not really reaching its full potential, then perhaps, not perhaps, but certainly provide a diagnosis and a treatment for that. We do a wide range of consultancy, and it includes, the market research that we spoke about, strategic branding, partnership development, and so on and so forth. These are just some of our clients that we've working with recently. And this, again, spreads across various sectors. You have industry, manufacturing, medical technology, you have commodity trading, you have agriculture, development, and exporting in commodity, of course. One of the ways that we have developed in order to exacerbate that process is to provide and develop a workshop that is a 3 session workshop in which we provide you with practical tools, okay, on preparing you for partnership. So remember when we spoke about the preparation stage, okay, really down to the nitty-gritty bits of creating an executive summary, knowing how to approach, knowing how to develop your network, getting into the sector, into the key stakeholders, the main players of each sector that you're trying to get to. We've come up with models, with frameworks, with principles that will narrow down all of this great work that you have to do and make it very specific. And we reveal that in our workshop. We really give you a lot of information. So if you're interested in receiving more information about when the next opening is for the Prep for Partnership workshop, which is going to be in 2025, we're not opening anymore for this year, please drop in the comments, in the chat, Prep for Partnership, P for P4P, whatever you want, drop that in the chat and we'll be happy to send you more information. Alternatively, you can scan the barcode here and it will take you directly to the registration page if you're interested in registering. Situ, we are at the end of our presentation. It has been a lengthy one. I underestimated how long it will take. However, I'm very happy, very pleased that you have remained with us till the end. I will be happy to take questions, comments, additions, of course, for myself, perhaps for Chika, if he's still around. Yeah, I think he's still around. And let's look at the chat. Maybe there's some things in the chat. Let's see. I see that someone's asked Chika if the UBA has a specific package or programs for businesses looking to transact with African businesses.
Okay, I think I missed that question. Yeah, so we have packages for businesses, obviously, like I mentioned. We are in the sector, or in the specialized unit that manages international organizations as well as NGOs and embassies. So we deal with international organizations. We understand the peculiarities of their needs. So we can obviously develop a proposal that will suit them. You know, they have to also get back to us, and we have to have an engagement on what their needs will likely look like, despite of our understanding of what we think their needs are. And then we will definitely bespoke a proposal, a banking proposal that will suit their needs and wants, while to venturing into the African market and the specific countries that they would like to venture into. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. Desmond is asking, he's actually more interested to know about the UBA marketplace.
Okay, the UBA marketplace is basically an online host for businesses that want to sell their goods and services on that space, and then because it's hosted by UBA, it comes at a discount. You know, there's some perks that these businesses that host their businesses on that website receive. So basically, yeah, that is it.
Amazing. Any other questions? You're also very welcome to unmute and speak. We'll be happy to hear you. Can share more in the chat if you have any further questions. regarding any other aspects, what I would do is, I see that the links for the previous webinars have been dropped here. It would be really amazing for you, context-wise, to take some time out to go over them, because we do drop some very interesting information. In our first webinar, we had another guest speaker speaking to us about really developing a partnership, a business opportunity across Africa. So it would be very good for you to visit those to get even more context, more information. Knowledge is absolute power. The more you have, the better. Any other questions? Any other questions? Let's take one more question or two more questions. Or if it's too much, we'll take all the questions. Chika, let me see. Have you gotten your email down for us? Okay, you have. Thank you. So Chika's gotten his email down for us. Great. Oh, I missed a question. What's this? This? Okay, no, you've answered that already. Okay. I'll give it one more minute, then I'll summarize. Okay, so again, another prompt for you to receive that wonderful, amazing giveaway.